I found paperwork for a diamond in my partner's desk. I wasn't snooping. We share an office and I was looking for a notepad in his drawers. Big folder with a diamond on the front is a dead giveaway. I, of course, was over the moon. It is something we've been talking about for a while, and I am so ready to take the next step together. I called my mom and expected to have that quintessential mother-daughter experience. Instead, she said, "You better not get engaged before older sister. I know you don't care, but it will break her heart." Mom, 1, of course I care. I'm immensely excited. 2, you also told me to wait until older sister had her degree before I graduated. I denied myself the opportunity to graduate early, and older sister still doesn't have her degree. I'm now the only one in my family to have graduated from college, but pretty much not allowed to talk about it. I was obviously bummed, and my partner asked about it. Apparently, he shared a similar experience with his mother. Called her, very excited, and she said, "Is she pregnant? I guess you really love her," and proceeded to tell him how sad his ex is since they broke up. We've both agreed to wait until after the holidays to get engaged as 1, the ring isn't ready. 2, that was his initial plan. 3, we very much want it to be about us and not older sister or his ex. But I just wanted someone to be happy for us. Just to clarify a few things, we are not moving our engagement to appease or spite anyone, just sticking with our current plan and not letting them impact us. I saw a few hopefuls that my older sister does not follow my mother's antics. Unfortunately, my mother's fear that older sister will flip out is a known factor. Older sister has a child with a long-term boyfriend and has been waiting with bated breath for him to propose for quite some time. Older sister is also used to having everything handed to her on a silver platter, so mom is at fault too. I am one of many children, most girls, so I really just want to be giddy with my mom on a phone call. To just have one moment that was my own. She denied it to me, but you beautiful resistors gave it to me tenfold. Thank you so much. I'll definitely keep you guys updated once there's a ring to see. Background. My significant other, 33 female, and her daughter, D, 9 female, have just moved in with me, 40 male. We are 11 months into our relationship, and they were supposed to just be moving in for a trial period over Christmas, but we have decided that they are staying full-time. We are all very happy. My future mother-in-law, 50s, has a somewhat strained relationship with my significant other's daughter's father, male, 100% D-bag, was never in the picture, and I get the impression that future mother-in-law blamed my significant other for this and tried to get custody of daughter when she was born. Obviously, this didn't happen, and significant other has been fairly low contact ever since. My future mother-in-law has been very supportive of my relationship with significant other, though, dropping hints about wedding bells and the pitter-patter of tiny feet, etc., from quite early on. Future mother-in-law doesn't have an accurate picture of my finances, but she caught on quite quickly that I am financially comfortable. Although I live fairly low-key, I do have some nice things, no mortgage, and plenty of free time due to passive income. What future mother-in-law was very unhappy to learn was that my significant other has had a tubal ligation since having daughter and does not intend to have further children with me. Cue today's unwelcome drama. Future mother-in-law, taking advantage of a recent uptick in communication due to Christmas, being notified of significant other and daughter moving in with me. And my significant other relaxing a bit due to how supportive future mother-in-law has been since I have been around. Called my significant other and asked for a ride to and from a hospital appointment today. Future mother-in-law heavily hinted at it being serious, possibly cancer in the gyno area. I'm not sure of the details. I had no desire to be in a conversation about future mother-in-law's junk. Significant other agreed to take her. They go to the hospital. Future mother-in-law asks significant other to go in with her. They end up in a consult with an OB/GYN surgeon. This is when significant other learns that the appointment is for her, significant other, to get a tubal ligation reversal because, in mother-in-law's words, significant other needs to wise up and tie me, OP, down. Because this is her chance to pin down the meal ticket before it blows away. According to mother-in-law, baby trapping is the only way significant other has a chance of keeping me around. Apparently, the screaming match in the OB/GYN's office was epic. Future mother-in-law got abandoned at the hospital, and significant other came home to me in floods of tears. I'm doing my best to be supportive. I'm dispensing hugs, ice cream, quality alcohol, and chocolate, and obviously, no contact is on the table for discussion in the very near future. But I've never been this angry before in my life. I somehow got to age 39 without a significant relationship. I have no experience of in-laws, family drama. I finally meet the love of my life, and her biggest critic, nemesis, is her own mother. I'm shaking with rage that someone could hurt my person like that. How the hell do I deal with this? Or how the hell do I trick future mother-in-law into a surprise appointment with a funeral director? Oh, and the surprise kicker that future mother-in-law still has no idea about? I had a vasectomy years ago, before I met significant other, and whilst I love daughter with all my heart, I never wanted kids of my own. On to this weekend. My significant other's daughter, Dee, has obviously figured out something is wrong, being as significant other spent most of Friday crying. So we sat her down on Saturday morning for an age-appropriate explanation. What came out then has tipped my significant other out of tears and distress and into apocalyptic rage. I'm right there with her. I was a little bit uncomfortable with a sudden and massive increase in physical affection and cuddles from daughter when they moved in. Don't get me wrong, there was nothing sinister, and I love that little girl like I didn't know was possible before. But I came from a family that is very low on physical affection, like, I think I got a handshake from my dad once level, so I needed to make an adjustment to this new normal. We ended up thinking it was just daughter settling into the realization that I was definitely a long-term part of her life now. We drew a couple of boundaries, like no getting into significant other and I's bed without waking me up first, and thought it was all good. Gynae Granny was behind this love bomb from daughter to me. Mother-in-law has been telling daughter that significant other and I will probably kick daughter out to make room for our new family, unless daughter is super nice and does whatever OP wants. That poor girl has been scared she would get put up for adoption if she puts a foot wrong. I had to physically restrain my significant other at this point from charging out of the house to confront Gynae Granny. I spent most of Saturday reassuring both of my girls. Daughter and I spent a couple of hours on a little DIY project. I got out my chisel and wood burning kit, and we carved and burnt daughter's name into her bedroom door to reinforce the fact that she has a permanent place here. We let her know that between my vasectomy and significant other's tubal ligation, we would never be having more kids and that daughter would be our only child. She called me dad for the first time, and I lost it, and wept more than significant other and daughter combined. Gynae Granny is in permanent no contact. I don't see any way she could come back from this. Significant other and I have spoken to my cousin, who is a family law solicitor, and will be putting into place something that will ensure that Gynae Granny has no chance at custody should anything happen to significant other, but that daughter would instead stay with me. Significant other and I discussed our future plans regarding engagement and adoption, but we want to get some distance from all of this mess so that Gynae Granny's insanity doesn't taint what should be a happy, loving thing. Although significant other did read my earlier post and immediately pointed out that I had typed that we weren't engaged yet, and did some gloating about that. On Sunday, I rang future father-in-law, 65, who is normally a very quiet man and the epitome of a guy who has checked out. He just goes to work and spends 90% of his free time in the garden shed. I laid everything out for him. Everything Gynae Granny has done to significant other and daughter. Significant other's concerns that Gynae Granny had used significant other as a baby trap for future father-in-law. Significant other's anger at Gigi, everything. I left it to him to tell Gigi that she was blocked everywhere and in a permanent no contact. I told him that if Gigi sets foot on my property, the police would be called. I told him we were talking to a lawyer to change the custody setup away from him and Gigi and to me, and gathering evidence for a restraining/protection order. Whilst significant other doesn't want to go full no contact with him, she does want a break for a bit, so I told him that all communication would be going through me for a while, until she gets out of the rage reaction phase. He seemed stunned, but okay with what we were doing, and we chatted for a while. When I mentioned that the lawyer was my cousin, he asked, in a fairly beaten down way, if she does divorces. I laughed and told him if that's what he wanted, I'd get him the family discount. He took my cousin's number. So, everyone who warned me it wasn't over after my last post, congratulations, you were right. And to preempt a couple of things, my significant other and her daughter, and now my daughter too, are both seeing therapists now, and I have been for years. After the events of this week, family counseling is also in the works. So, Gynae Granny has gone nuclear, but we were wrong about why she is doing all of this. We thought it was about my money. All the trying to get my significant other to baby trap me, telling daughter very creepy, borderline grooming stuff about how we might kick her out if daughter didn't keep me happy and do whatever I want. The being so invested in mine and significant other's relationship from day one, significant other and I thought Gigi was after my money to fund her retirement, and we couldn't have been more wrong. I mentioned before that the first trouble in my significant other's relationship with her mother was back when daughter was born, and Gigi tried to get custody of daughter. As the bio father was not around, Gigi thought that it would be better for daughter if significant other just signed her over to Gigi to raise as significant other's younger sister. Significant other refused, as emphatically as you might think, and after that was fairly low contact with Gigi personally. But they did get a cordial relationship after a few years, and future father-in-law and Gigi helped with childcare after Dee went to school and significant other returned to full-time work. That help with childcare has now pretty much stopped, as I work from home full-time, so daughter does her remote schooling from my home office and hangs out with me all day. Earlier this week, while significant other was at work, daughter and I were visited by a social worker with police in tow. Someone, guess who, had reported that I was abusing daughter. I let them in, got significant other on the phone and told her to get home as soon as possible. Got my cousin the lawyer on a video call and refused to let them talk to daughter without significant other present. I'm not going to go through the details as per my very expensive legal advice. I now owe my cousin a pair of Jimmy Choos. But suffice it to say, daughter is still here and will not be going anywhere. Thankfully, we had documented everything, and having a family law expert involved from the beginning was a lifesaver. I rang future father-in-law later that night. He was out in his shed, avoiding his wife like usual. She apparently was inside redecorating a bedroom in pink colors and had ordered a single bed for it so that it will be ready for daughter to stay in. This whole mess is some twisted plot in her mind to try and get custody of daughter again. The twisted hag thinks she can break up my family and take our daughter. I get the impression that this is going to get all kinds of legal from here on out, so this will probably be my last post for a while. But I thought I would end it on some happy news. This was all a few days ago. Significant other and I have decided to stop waiting for a perfect moment away from this craziness, and we are now officially engaged, and I have started the adoption process for daughter. It started last night as a rambling conversation about this whole situation and what it meant for our future, and I'm genuinely not quite sure which of us technically proposed, but as I already had the ring stashed in my safe, I went and grabbed it. But significant other tackled me, out of enthusiasm, before I could manage to get down on one knee. On the one hand, it kinda sucks that we didn't get the whole romantic proposal that you might dream of. But on the other hand, significant other was kinda blown away that I already had a custom-designed ring, ready-made, and just waiting for the right moment. Significant other is leaning over my shoulder and is saying that the women in this sub are going to want to know about the ring. It's a 2-carat high-quality princess-cut diamond on a platinum band, flanked on both sides with significant other's, mine, and daughter's birthstones. For the guys, it's square, with little bits on either side. Premise. My sister and I hail from a military family. My father is a career E8 Master Sergeant in the Army and is in his 50s at the time of this incident. Previously, me and my sister, parents and fiancé's parents have met over an informal dinner, which by second-hand accounts ended up in some heated political discussions. I thought nothing of it, since politics and alcohol together is like a fire hazard, and I figured both parties would be mature enough to not take anything personally. Onwards to the incident. My sister and her fiancé are holding their engagement dinner. Full cast includes fiancé, mother-in-law, golden child, fiancé's younger brother, me, sister, our older brother, father, and mother. Mother-in-law and golden child arrive 20 minutes late, and already I can tell something is off because 1. Mother-in-law is all scowls and frowns instead of the usual hospitable smiles one would expect for this occasion, and 2. Golden child is in his service dress, proudly displaying his shiny 01 second lieutenant insignia. My father is in a normal suit because it's a private, non-military affair, and he was always rather humble about his career. I steal a glance from my sister, and I can see from her face cycling through a range of emotions. Uh-oh, something's wrong. She don't look too happy. Maybe she had a bad day. Maybe Golden Child came straight from work. Personally, I'm a sucker for witnessing this kind of drama, so I've already mentally grabbed my popcorn. We exchange pleasantries, with mother-in-law giving out very curt acknowledgments before we start having dinner. Not 2 minutes in, mother-in-law turns to my father and says, "Last time we met, you really offended me with our talk about fill in the blank. I demand that you apologize." I think my father must have seen this coming, because he says without missing a beat, "We can agree to disagree, but my opinions are my opinions, and I won't apologize for that." Of course, she doesn't take too well to this, and flares up like a pissed-off cat in indignant yet harmless fury. Fiancé and sister are trying to mediate, to no avail, and mother-in-law goes off on this righteous tirade about how she deserved to be treated with respect and yada yada. My father is sitting stone-cold silent until the storm is finally weathered and shoots back. Sounds like a personal problem to me. Golden Child makes his presence known and barks, "Sergeant, I expect a man of your rank to conduct himself more professionally." Holy crap, did he just... There are multiple layers of how bad a duck-up this is. First off, as far as military rank goes, technically, all officers 0 to X outrank all enlisted E to X men. In this case, Golden Child being an O1 second lieutenant and my father being an E8 master sergeant. In practice, though, O1 is the lowest of the officer ranks, and E8 is a rank which generally takes at least 20 years of service to achieve. By that point, they have established close relationships with people who use O1s to fetch their coffee. This sometimes leads to a precarious situation where you have an idiot 23 to 25-year-old second lieutenant ordering around a 50-year-old crusty master sergeant, like so. In addition, this is a private, non-military affair, and pulling rank in this environment is a big no-no, as I have learned. This is also the first meeting between my father and Golden Child. And since my father isn't dressed, it can only be concluded that mother-in-law conveyed his rank to Golden Child, and probably even arranged for him to come in his service dress so that he could pull rank in this exact scenario. The final duck-up is not realizing that my older brother is an O3 Army captain. I did say we were a military family. Like my father, he is also not in service dress and had been pretty quiet throughout this ordeal. But the most recent statement by Golden Child prompts him to action, like, well, if they're gonna play that game. He holds up his ID card, snaps his fingers, and points toward the corner of the room. Lieutenant, this way. I witness the face of a truly fearful man. We can't hear what my brother is saying, but he speaks loud enough so that we can all recognize his chewing the duck out of someone voice. Golden Child proceeds to get thoroughly emasculated, letting out little meek yes sirs every now and then, while mother-in-law watches as her best laid plans go awry.